He's never fought us. Not us united.
My favorite moment in the entire... Maybe I should complicate this before I start speaking here. Welcome to Comics League Indie Wednesday. I'm Jared, and today we're talking about the book that we've all been waiting for. The book that totally exists. Isom #1 of the Rippaverse. Hang on. So, this is going to be a spoiler-free review, so I'm not going to... Since this book just came out, I'm not going to talk about the plot like I normally do, because normally I cover books that haven't... that I've given them like a week to come out or so, but I'm not going to talk about the plot. What I'm going to talk about is first. So this is the first book of the entire universe that is the Rippaverse, created by Eric July. Now, here's the thing. First books in a new continuity or a new universe set the tone for the entire universe. It's a good indicator of how the universe is going to turn out. Case in point, New 52 Justice League #1. Granted, a lot of the New 52 didn't shape out, but most of it was good. My point is that your first book has to be good because it establishes the context, the precedent for your entire universe. And I will say this sets a very good precedent because this was such a fun read. Such a fun read. The characters were fantastic. I love Avery. I think that there's lots of potential with Isom. I like how they establish... Actually, no, I'm not going to say that. I like a lot. The plot is actually very compelling. It's very cool. The art is fantastic, by the way. This Friday, we're going to be having... on this week's Under Two Capes, we're going to be having Gabe Altaïb back on the show because he was a colorist on this book. So we're going to be able to talk to one of the creative members on this book. So anyway... I love this book. It's super cool. The art, the story, everything is great. It's non-political, so that's the first thing. You could take some parts of it as political because you can take really anything as political. However, this book in no way forces it down your throat. It just presents, here's a fantastic story. Take it as you will, and that's really important. They definitely have the startings of a universe because they have characters. And they have compelling characters. They have plot lines that are started in this book that can be explored in multiple other books, multiple other characters, multiple other concepts. It's a good. It sets up like prequels, sequels, and such. It's really, 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 really dope. And really, I could see a lot of inspiration behind like Superman, maybe Invincible a little bit in some ways. A little bit of Batman and Justice League. In other words, Eric July, you can tell Eric July is a comic book fan because he took the best parts of comics and put them into one book. Kind of like how I'm doing with the Thunder Goddess, but that's another story for another time. My point is, this is actually a really good thing. Now, what's also very interesting about the Rippaverse is that at the end of the book, very back, he includes what's called the Rippaverse Ethic, which basically essentially means okay. So I'm going to actually read selections from each section. There's 3 of them, and I think that this is important because this is going to establish the precedent of the company. Number 1, respect the customer. We want you invested in this brand and everything that comes from it. Rippaverse Comics is not entitled to your money, and we must earn your support. It's on us as the creators to produce something that you find value and can be invested in. It's impossible to please everybody, but we hope there's a book or character that you will look forward to keeping up with. The success of this company will be largely dictated by our ability to keep the customers interested and satisfied. We are not oblivious to this. Respect goes both ways, and we honor our side of the deal. So right there, he's taking a direct shot at Marvel and DC because a lot of the times when you give healthy criticism, because I guarantee you there are some a-holes out there. But when you give healthy criticism to books, a lot of creatives will blast you and call you like racist, a bigot, or something like that. So right there, he's saying we're not going to insult you like that. Now, canon and continuity. Our aspirations extend far beyond having a couple of characters or series. A vast universe that is ever expanding is what we hope to accomplish. This is something that has long been intriguing about modern American comic books, and it has become a lost art. The Rippaverse will fill this void. This means that every single book you buy will always matter. If retcons are to exist, they will only be used in the classic sense of introducing new information. In other words, like, if they do a retcon, they're not going to like complete. There's not going to be like a Crisis on Infinite Earth style reboot where they say treat it like none of this ever happened. All of this will happen. What they'll do is they'll essentially add more information. Like, well, this was happening, and that is fantastic because guess what? That does tend to turn people off. The only reason why I call for reboots with Marvel and DC is because they're at this point where they have to. Now, granted, I'm hoping there won't be as many like plot conflicts, if you will. Actually, no, contradictions as there are in Marvel and DC when it comes to these books. Which right now, I think it won't, because here's the thing. Eric July obviously is aware of those issues. So I tend to think that he will at least try to ensure that that doesn't happen. Granted, once you get to a certain point when you're building a universe, that's gonna happen. It's just part of the territory. But let's hope that he can make it not as severe as this with Marvel and DC. So that's really canon continuity. Next, a comprehensive timeline. Because we value canon and continuity, it's important that you're able to follow the timeline as these characters grow. This will especially be helpful for those of you that become customers years after our founding. We promise to try and keep reboots to a minimum. There you go. If this means that a series is on its 100th issue or volume, so be it. But this isn't a reason to feel overwhelmed. There'll be plenty of opportunities to purchase anthologies that combine key stories. But we also don't want to hold your hand, as pick up the pieces is often part of the fun. That's true. Assembling storylines is actually really cool. But I like what he's saying there is that they're going to give you opportunities to pick up like essentially like omnibus of different issues so you can have like the main context. And they're going to make it easy for people to jump on board. Again, really, really dig that because, like I said, it's really hard to jump into comics. That's why like the New 52 was so popular, because essentially what they did is they said, ignore our previous like decades of continuity. If you really want to want to have fun with these characters, ignore the continuity, pretend like we never published a comic book. That's it. So granted, he's not going to do those hard reboots, at least. Let me put it this way. Anything could happen, but I'm taking him at his word at this point because that's all we have. He's not going to go and like say, wipe it all out. Everything happened, and we're going to give you many opportunities to purchase like these books, because I'm sure Isom #1 will be available later on to buy. It's just for he's saying that he's gonna make it really easy for you to stay up top, but also give you opportunities to like collect the issues. Because honestly, yeah, he's right. Collecting the issues is part of the fun because you're like get this issue, and the hunt is one of the most fun parts of the comic book hobby. So again, he understands that. So those are the three parts of the Rippaverse Ethic. And again, he's essentially saying, I'm not going to be Marvel and DC. I'm going to be better. Which, if he keeps to these principles, he will be. Because the writing quality is good. The story is good. That's what I'm going to say. Combine the quality product with those principles, and guess what? You have a juggernaut that can take on Marvel and DC. Because guess what? This happened before. You essentially had, back in the 90s when Image was founded, they were endeavored to be not like Marvel or DC because Marvel and DC were not good for the industry right now. And guess what? They got ridiculously popular and became like the third largest comic book company in the United States. I'm thinking that Eric July has the potential to become the next Image. And it's very possible. Based upon this, based upon the monetary like juggernaut that this book became. Now you could say, well, that's just his audience. Is it though? It could just be, and let me put it this way. when was the last time a comic book got attention on the media for not essentially arbitrarily making a character bisexual like Tom Taylor. This was put up because it made a lot of money and because of the quality of the work, not because of some arbitrary change that made to a character by a writer. That's what's important. This is essentially someone looking at Marvel and DC and giving them the finger and saying, you know what, you guys have caused with your practices. You, like when Image was found in the 90s, you guys have essentially caused so much damage to the comic book industry. I'm going to try. It's going to be hard, but I'm going to try to repair some of that damage and give someone an alternative. So until you fix your stuff, they have an alternative to come to. And that is very important. Now, how would I rate this book? 9 out of 10. I say 9 out of 10 because very rarely will I give a book a 10 out of 10, really. Very rarely. Movies are different. Very rarely will I be able to do that. Very rarely. But, very rarely will I give a comic book a 10 out of 10. Now, a 9 out of 10 for me is pretty much a 10 out of 10. But that's my thing. I think this is a fantastic start to the universe. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for this week's Under 2Ks where we talk about the colorist. We talk to the colorist of this book, Gabe El-Taid, as he gives us the behind the scenes information on the Rippaverse. Anyway, stay heroic, everyone. Bye bye.